Let's move on to one of their rivals, though. One of their chief rivals. That's the Chomp Chomp Florida Gators. Bringing in another new coach into the SEC this year. What is that? We got Auburn, we've got Kentucky, we've got Arkansas. Is this the fourth new coach now that we're talking about in the first 8-9 teams of the SEC preview? So won't be the last, but it's definitely the next one up. And we've got the former Tulane head coach and Jon Sumrall coming over to Gainesville to kind of recenter and reset the Florida Gator program after a pretty disastrous Billy Napier era up in Gainesville. I'm here in Tampa. I know a ton of Gators fans, and there was really starting to be some indifference over the program and over the lack of leadership that Napier was bringing to the table for the Gators. But look, from what I can tell so far, there seems to be pretty good excitement about Sumrall, kind of a tough, hardo type guy who hopefully will bring some discipline and some fresh energy to Gainesville. It's a campus I've spent some time on in my previous career. I think the Gators have a beautiful campus. It's a school that really gets behind the football, basketball team when things are going well. And I'd love to see the Gators get back in the mix and kind of start competing for playoff spots and national championships again. I think they're one of those brands that college football can be better when the Gators are interesting, or at least a second program in Florida. It's fun when either Florida and Miami or Florida and Florida State or Miami and Florida State are good at the same time. Right now, it's just Miami that we can point to as kind of a true playoff and national championship contender. But maybe that changes with this new coaching hire. Marsh, I'll come to you first. What do you make of the Gators here with Jon Sumrall?
Yeah, listen, Jon Sumrall's got a proven track record. It's just not at a big school. And so it's going to be interesting to see. And I like his demeanor. I like kind of the culture, tone setter. I was absolutely gut laughing when somebody's phone went off at SEC days and he literally threatened to throw the freaking podium at him. Said if you were in my team meeting, it'd basically just be a travesty. You'd be gone. So the fact that he is threatening reporters' lives by throwing big pieces of wood at them, I like his demeanor. I think that's what the Florida Gators need. They need a little physicality. They need a little Vrabel-esque, hard-nosed football culture within the building there. I think bringing over Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech, Eric Singleton's an outstanding player, bringing him over to Florida. And then you look at Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson. The receiving room is really good. Jadan Baugh was a stud at running back. I mean, the offense should be a lot better than what we saw last year. And DJ Lagway, it was obviously a massive, massive disappointment. So the fact that he's kind of bringing in this culture reset, he's bringing in some really talented players. I'm interested to see. I don't think Florida's an overnight change. I really don't. I'm not high on Florida. I think overall they've got some pieces, but I look at them like I look at Florida State in the ACC and just the travesty that happened there. Florida kind of experienced the same thing with Billy Napier, just not to that basement-like extent that we saw with Mike Norvell. So it's a big lift. It's a big lift for Jon Sumrall. I like him as a person. I like him as a football coach. They've got talent. I just think that it's not a 1-year turnaround. I think they're going to take a couple years to really get that program to where he wants it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And it probably will. It was a pretty bad culture up there under at the end of the Billy Napier era. But Ryan, plus 400 odds, so not crazy that they could get to the college football playoff. Over under 7.5, so they'd have to kind of win a couple games. They're maybe not necessarily supposed to, but look, I think we should see some steps in the right direction. Are you kind of feeling the same way?
Yeah, I'm feeling that way, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am having a little bit of a meltdown right now. I was just reviewing the notes again and thinking about Greg Sankey and what he's been worried about this week when he should be worried about why the fuck does Florida not play Tennessee this year? What is going on? I don't know how I missed it up to this point, but you're talking about you're going to leave the NCAA. You need to get your own conference together. What is going on? That is one of the best, most fun rivalries we have. And that it's just gone all of a sudden. That just blows my mind. I just couldn't believe that. I just checked the schedule multiple times. That aside, I'm kind of with Max. I don't think this is a super easy turnaround. I do like Sumrall. I feel like I, for some reason, ended up watching and betting on Tulane a decent amount last year. So I kind of followed them. I think he did great. He kind of maxed out what you could do there. You saw what happens when a team like Tulane faces a focused team like Ole Miss. They're just overmatched. But I do like Sumrall. I'm with Casey, too. I hope he gets it turned around in Florida. College football is better when Florida is in it. Florida and Florida State. I love that rivalry, too. If it was up to Greg Sankey, they would never play again. But Florida is a great, great program. The Swamp, when it's rocking, it's awesome. I hope they get a little better, but I do like the under 7.5. And this is a team that I'm pretty not negative on overall. It's just a lot of unprovens, and in a tough conference like the SEC, I think unprovens and especially unproven quarterback play is going to be tough to turn it around quick.
Wow. So I'm looking at it. I did not realize that. I did not realize that Florida and Tennessee did not play each other. And I'm looking at their schedule. Florida LSU don't play each other.
I mean, Greg Sankey can get fucked. What is going on?
How do you add a conference game and then get rid of matchups like Florida LSU and Florida Tennessee? So this will be the first time in 37 years that Florida and Tennessee do not play each other in the regular season. The Gators and LSU are not playing each other. They'll miss each other this year for the first time since 1970. They've played 55 years in a row and are not playing in 2026.
So let me get this straight.
And you have the Lane Kiffin Florida LSU drama. He's leaving Ole Miss. Is he staying in Ole Miss? Is he going to Florida? Is he going to LSU? Talk about, LSU at Ole Miss. That's going to be the marquee Lane Kiffin takes all the headlines type game. But LSU Florida could have been right there behind because he was considering both of them for sure. But I'm looking at this article on Yahoo Sports. It sounds like Alabama and LSU will not play. It's not this year, but at some point in the next few years, Alabama LSU is not going to be a game that's on the regular season schedule in the SEC.
Let me get this straight. Greg Sankey says we're going to go to a 9-game SEC schedule, but we're going to take away the most important fucking rivalries in that schedule. Make it make sense, Greg. You want to be behind closed doors. You want to talk about how the SEC shit don't stink, and you do this kind of shit. It makes zero sense to me whatsoever. The fact that LSU and Alabama are at some point not going to play each other. You had Nick Saban return to LSU after taking the Alabama job, and Miss Terry had to bring holy water from the fucking church to sprinkle around because she believed in the voodoo from the bayou, and that there was going to be some bad juju around that game. That's the kind of rivalry gravity we're talking about here. And you don't have Bama LSU playing in the future. You don't have LSU and Florida playing this year. I mean, how many misses can you take? Get Greg Sankey the hell out of Dodge. He's an awful commissioner. He doesn't know his head from his ass. And we're talking about, we're focused on the dumbest shit possible when it's right there in front of you. And college football is the easiest thing in the world to manage from a schedule standpoint. You put as many rivalries in front of them as you can. That's must-see TV, buddy. You want revenue, you want viewers, you want money. That's how it works. Get them out. Get them out. Show them the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. You're a fucking moron, Greg Sankey.
Crazy, man.
It's sad.
The fact that we don't get Florida, Tennessee, Florida, LSU, but it's at a certain point, it just becomes mad. That's why we don't need 16-team conference. Put Texas and Texas A&M and Oklahoma back in the Big 12. Let's balance things back out. Make sure that rival teams are playing each other. Let's have some kind of regionality. Let's recreate the Pac-12 and put Oregon and USC and Washington and UCLA back in. This is crazy. It's so stupid. And next year, we don't get to see Alabama, LSU, kind of a staple in October, November. Like, now they are protecting some, like Alabama, Auburn, and Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee, Alabama. Some of these games are protected where they're permanent, but I don't know, man. Looking at a Florida regular season schedule and not seeing Tennessee or LSU on there is crazy. I mean, just really, really stupid. I had a couple more things. Look, I think Florida, you look at the talent they have on their roster. I think there's some real talent that you could be excited about, specifically at the skill positions, right? Jadan Baugh, stud running back. I think if they get an offensive line put together that can block for him, he's going to have another big year. He ran for almost 1,200 yards last year, had 8 rushing touchdowns, had another 31 catches. So he's a really good running back. I like that Buster Faulkner, the old Georgia Tech offensive coordinator, is coming in to be Sumrall's offensive coordinator here. He obviously produced some really strong running back years in the past. So again, all comes down to the offensive line. But if they can get a good offensive line put together, Buster Faulkner and Jadan Baugh should combine for quite a nice year on the ground. And then the receiver room, Dallas Wilson, I watched him play last year against Texas. I was like, that guy might be the best receiver in the country over Jeremiah Smith. Like, he was doing things. He fought injuries basically all year, but they got him back. They got Vernell Brown. They got Eric Singleton Jr. They got real weapons on the outside. Aaron Philo, transfer quarterback in from Georgia Tech, familiar with Buster Faulkner's offense. Sounds like he's going to be game manager plus type of guy, which may be good enough to really, take care of the ball. Don't turn it over 1,800 times like DJ Lagway did, and just get the ball, follow the offense, follow your cues, get the ball to Jadan Baugh, get the ball to Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, Eric Singleton, and just rely on that defense and Jon Sumrall toughness infusion into the defense. I think this team I think there's a path to hit the over and get to 8 wins, 9 wins this year. But if an offensive line doesn't come together, if Philo is a turnover machine like Lagway was, they're probably not getting there. Probably looking at another 5-7, 6-6 type year, and trying to build some momentum at the end of the year for a good year 2 under Sumrall. Anything else on the Gators? We good?
That's the show. Now you know. This is how the real ones roll. Big thanks, good night, see you down the road on the Nard Dog Sports Show.